Sometime, somehow, we will be punished. Punished?
I believe politics are a divisive tool. In one sense, they help people express their beliefs and, in a sense, get to act on their beliefs based on which political side they choose. And if they win, then they basically get to have whatever they want happen to society. And the other side of politics, the one that loses, usually doesn't have things go their way. Normally, how it's supposed to work is that they would still work hand in hand. There would just be a representative from that specific political side. And the way that people make it seem nowadays is that politics doesn't really matter. It's just a tool to divide and conquer the masses. And it's pretty believable, too, if you just look at society now. We got Democrats and Republicans, and they're basically at each other's throats for just believing different things than they do. So let's take the left, for example, the Democrats. If you don't believe what they believe in, they'll attack you simply because you don't believe what they believe in. And then on the right, they just think that the Democrats are stupid because they're not taking the time to listen to the other side. They just want to be right, and they can't comprehend the fact that other people would hold different beliefs than them. And holding different beliefs from one another is not an issue. Everyone has their own subjective view of reality. The problem comes with the fact that they don't acknowledge that fact. They want to view reality as one singular thing that we all view the same, when in reality can be viewed in many different ways. Like, I for one hold the belief that all beliefs hold the possibility of being true. So, for me, it's not hard to accept other people's beliefs because, in my belief, I believe what they believe is true for them. But with politics, people just seem to come at each other's throats, and it's pretty sad. Maybe if they didn't label themselves Democrat or Republican, we could actually get stuff done. Because I think the labels are the problem. It makes people tribal. And when people become tribal, then they start developing a mob mentality. And then from that point, it would just be a downward spiral. And I've honestly witnessed that downward spiral firsthand a few times. Like, just recently, we've had so many outbursts go out in the US alone. Not to mention the entire rest of the world. Like, crazy things are happening in the world. The media isn't really covering it because of the agendas being pushed right now. But those with the eyes to see can honestly see that something is happening with this world. And people are honestly just scared. Like, so much stuff is happening. So many ideals being pushed and people being attacked for their beliefs. And you can't really blame people for being scared. They don't know what's going on. Like, the religious folk believe we're in the end times. The atheists believe that, like, everyone's just going crazy and that this world is just going to crumble in on itself, or at least society will collapse eventually. And in all honesty, I don't know what I believe myself. I can see both outcomes to this reality. I can see both the good and the bad. I can see the good outcome and the bad outcome, and I honestly don't know which one I would subscribe to most, because both seem very viable in this stage. If 2012 really did mark not the end of the world, but the end of the old world, like the old way of things, then I could honestly see that happening because of what we're experiencing now. So many beliefs are being thrown out there, and so many people want to be right. It's so sad. Like, people want to be right, yet they can't comprehend others being right as well, because they assume that others being right means that they have to be wrong, and they assume that if they're right, others can't be right as well. It's paradoxical in nature, but it has to be that way if we're to truly succeed in our human evolutionary path. We need to start respecting each other's consciousness, because these physical bodies don't mean crap. I've gone through this in another video. My belief is that the consciousness is a frequency that the brain picks up on. So the brain would be like a radio, the consciousness is a frequency that radio would pick up. So if we are just our consciousness, our physical forms don't mean jack. And I think that's the whole point of like our consciousness manifesting itself this way. If we manifest ourselves into such a way that we could judge each other on our physical appearances, I honestly think that would be the best self-administered test. Like, a few dimensions up, if this were a test, I could see it being a viable one. So forget politics, we're humans first, and we gotta realize that. We have to start working together. We can't allow ourselves to be divided, because if we continue to allow ourselves to be divided, then it'll just be that much easier to control us.